achievements of the LGBTQI+ community, to celebrate the great diversity of the American people, and to wave their flags of pride high. On Tuesday, June 6th, the Human Rights Campaign, a large advocacy nonprofit, declared a national state of emergency for the LGBTQ community in the United States in response to what can only be characterized as a massive uptick in anti-LGBTQ rhetoric and legislative activity. As of this morning, the American Civil Liberties Union is tracking 491 bills that target people that identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. Over 100 of them specifically target trans people. These bills, if passed, and that's an important phrase, if passed, would limit the ability of American citizens to use their pronouns, to change their names, to read books, to teach, to learn, to invest, to perform, to work, to play, to give or receive health care, to go to the bathroom. There are 6 bills in Alabama, 5 in Alaska, 11 in Arizona, 9 in Arkansas, 1 in California, 1 in Colorado, 2 in Connecticut, and yes, I'm going to do them all. 10 in Florida, 5 in Georgia, 5 in Hawaii, 8 in Idaho, 18 in Indiana, 29 in Iowa, 14 in Kansas, 12 in Kentucky, 4 in Louisiana, 4 in Maine, 1 in Maryland, 2 in Massachusetts, 9 in Michigan, 10 in Minnesota, 25 in Mississippi, 47 in Missouri, 8 in Montana, 4 in Nebraska, 2 in Nevada, 4 in New Hampshire, 6 in New Jersey, 1 in New Mexico, 12 in North Carolina, 17 in North Dakota, 6 in Ohio, 35 in Oklahoma, 7 in Oregon, 3 in Pennsylvania, 5 in Rhode Island, 18 in South Carolina, 3 in South Dakota, 28 in Tennessee, and never to be outdone, 58 in Texas, 9 in Utah, 2 in Vermont, 14 in Virginia, 2 in Washington, and 3 in West Virginia. I am disgusted. I am heartbroken. I am afraid for my beloveds. The parent in me, the minister in me, the teacher in me, the human in me, they are all reeling from the immensity of this hateful effort. The legislative fervor is mind-boggling to me, not only because it tramples the rights of our beloveds, not only because it is violent and harmful, not only because it signifies a moral and legal regression of epic proportions, not only for all of those very good reasons, but because there are so many problems that await this kind of problem-solving energy everywhere I look. We do not need to create fake problems. We have real ones. Because that's what this is. All of this anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, it is a fake problem. It is a fake problem chosen by the cynical to forge a coalition of those who have grievances by focusing their discontent on a common enemy. It is a fake problem constructed by those who would use the language of nostalgia to hide their fear of decreasing power and influence. It is a fake problem designed for social media and sound bites. The fall of our supposedly once great nation laid at the feet of one minority group amongst us. It's a tale as old as time, right? It's a proven strategy. Unite the fearful under the banner of the maligned and point their rage in a single direction. Under the false comfort of nostalgia, memories so edited that they never existed. To hold out an old idea about how we should be and identify a group as an obstacle to that return to the mythic home place. This is not a plan that is attempting to address the real moral failings of our time, the ones that make people go bankrupt for medical care, that drive folks to suicide because of a lack of mental health care accessibility, that leave people hungry and houseless and facing a climate that has already changed. This is not a plan that addresses anything that actually threatens us. It's a plan from the planless. It's a plan of distraction and outrage. It is a plan for those who only want power for the sake of having it. It is a plan for those who are willing to appeal to that which is most base within us, to amplify the worst of our inner and outer behavior, who are willing to encourage people to violate the most basic rules of interdependent existence because they believe they can get away with it. They believe they can get away with it because it has worked before. And it has worked before because people, sometimes us, sometimes our ancestors, let it. This movement towards legal shunning, shaming, and both direct and indirect violence is something that we simply cannot tolerate. And you may find that to be a political statement. And I suppose that because it's rooted in a legislative reality, it is inherently political. But it's not only political. We cannot tolerate these attempts at legal oppression because our faith, our values, our principles, and even our very mission demand that we work to prevent, to obstruct, and to dismantle the chains that desperate men and women would use to buy fame and favor. I may sound a little angry this morning, but I can assure you that I do not sound as angry as I feel. I am furious on behalf of my human siblings this morning. I am furious on behalf of our kids. Our kids. I am furious on behalf of our ancestors, who likely would be unsurprised, but still saddened by this turn of events. And while I don't often attempt to inspire you to anger, I don't think, if you feel it too, I don't condemn you for it. I am a believer in righteous rage. And it seems to me that righteous rage is a reasonable response this pride. Anger and rage has its place in the defense of the good, the holy, the sacred. It's okay to admit our anger, even to feel it. It's okay to notice the energy that it can bring. It's okay to cry with the flood of emotion that we don't usually allow. The problem is that anger usually wants to go somewhere. It's an active emotion for many of us. So what do we do about that? Well, I don't like to give definitive answers very often. I have some. We do all of the usual good citizen things, first of all. We write, we call, we petition, we send funds if we can, we follow happenings in the capitals and the state houses, we talk to folks and attempt to help them find their way into this century. We do all of those things. But in June, that is not all we do. Pride asks more of us. In June, we follow the lessons of the first Pride Parade in 1970, a gathering that was born a year prior in Greenwich Village in 1969. When I was 11 days old, New York City police raided the Stonewall Inn. This was not the first raid of the Stonewall, nor was it the first raid of a gay bar in New York. In fact, police raids on known or rumored gay clubs had happened all over the country for years. Resistance during these raids had also been on the rise, starting with the raid on the Pepper Hill Club in my own beloved Baltimore in 1955. Washington, D.C.'s Evening Star, the paper at the time, reported that many patrons of the Pepper Hill Club had traveled to Baltimore because Washington police were engaged in what they called a drive on homosexuals. The article I read doesn't give a clear idea of what such a drive might entail. But if it looked like the raid at the Stonewall in 1969, it involved police harassment, violence, and humiliation. When patrons were cleared out of the Stonewall Inn, rather than dispersing, they lingered outside. Some found payphones. Some ran to friends with a mission of coming back. The crowd grew and resistance erupted. While police reports and some historical accounts refer to the violence that persisted for the next 6 days as the Stonewall riots, gay activists refer to those days of encounter with the police as a rebellion, a physical stand born out of endless oppression. The Stonewall Rebellion spurred further action. Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera rallied the LGBTQ activist community in New York to engage in repeated protests for the following year, leading up to the first Pride parades on June 28, 1970, commemorating the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion and wishing me a belated happy first birthday, I'm sure. These first parades took place in New York, Los Angeles, and yes, Chicago. They were billed as liberation marches. The Pride moniker only came later, as people reflected on the impact that the march had for the queer community. Until this year, I don't think I really grasped the courage that it must have taken to participate in those first marches. I don't think I ever really understood how afraid those marchers must have been until I witnessed the current threat. I never understood the risk they were taking or the intensity, the volume, the power of the hate those marchers experienced. I see it now. I also see that necessary courage is fed by community, by love, but not passive, lukewarm love. I saw a sign the other day, not like a burning bush sign, although that's probably debatable. Anyway, I saw a sign that read, "When hate is loud, love must be louder." This is, in my view, a crucial message for Pride 2023. The hate is loud, deafeningly loud, and it's at least somewhat organized. Love must therefore be louder and more organized. And that's why I say that the phrase "love is love" is not enough this Pride. It's not enough for us to proclaim the equality of the love within the LGBTQ community. We must turn up our love for and with the LGBTQ community. We must be louder by marching, but not only that, we must be louder by displaying the rainbow. Think whatever you want about the profit margin on Pride merch, but the simple fact is that Pride merch is a signal. It is a signal that your house is a safe place. It is a signal that you are a safe person. It is a signal that we are a safe congregation. Rainbows, pride flags, face paint, glitter, color and sparkles and boas and tutu, they are all neon signs, letting people know not just that we believe everyone has the right to love as they please, but that we love our queer neighbors, that we adore our LGBTQ members, that we admire drag queens and appreciate what all of that glorious pride brings to our community. They are all signs of the joy we take in our whole community. They are all signs of our abundant and extravagant, brilliant, shining, and high volume love. We have to be louder about the fact that we support one another, that we will protect one another, that we will not stand by while people's rights are taken away, because our world is better with all of us in it, here together, being our genuine, authentic, amazing selves. We need to make our willingness to bring the traveling sanctuary of our love visible, easy to see and recognize, unquestionable. We need to celebrate within our sanctuary, wherever it may be. To let our love be a beacon to those who need it. We need to act in order to be allies, and we need to feel pride and express it in order to be love out loud right now. We need to risk broken windows and glitter in our hair that is impossible to get out. We need to not just support, but to live the love and the extravagant freedom of pride, to show our community who we are and who we will stand with again and again and again. Our mission demands it of us, with pride and love for all. May it be so. Amen. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Ooh.